Salve omnes, welcome to this audio lesson on Lingua Latina per se illustrata, Capitulum Quintum, Chapter 5. We're going to look at the rest of the Grammatica today, ablative, and also then imperative versus indicative. So, ablativus, ablative case, masculinum, masculine, in horto Julii, in hortis Italiae, in the garden of Julius, in the gardens of Italy. Horto ablativus singularis est, hortis ablativus pluralis est, ablativus singularis o, pluralis is. So essentially this is telling us we have an ablative case. The masculine singular ending is o, and the masculine plural ending is is. Now, if you'll notice in the examples here, this ablative case is being used after the preposition in. Preposition in Latin means in, on, or at. It could possibly mean among in some cases, but usually in, on, or at works fine. So moving on to other examples. Femininum, feminine, in villa Julii, in villis Romanis. Now this goes back to the first chapter, really. You saw sentences like Italia in Europa longe est. So here we have some examples like that. In villa, long a, that's the ablative singular feminine. In villis, long is, that's the ablative plural feminine. Do note that the a looks similar to the o masculine ending in that both are single vowels with a long mark. Do note that the is ending is the same for masculine and for feminine plural. So there's no difference in the spelling of the plural ablative ending between those genders. Villa, long a, ablativus singularis est, villis ablativus pluralis est. So villa is ablative singular, villis is ablative plural. Ablativus singularis a, pluralis is. Neutrum, neuter, the third gender. In opido tusculo, in opidis graecis. Now notice opido tusculo, the ending of the ablative is a long o, just like we saw in the masculine, and in the plural, the ending of the ablative is is with a long is, just like we saw in both the other genders. So is is always for first and second declension, which is the type of nouns we're learning right now. Is is always an ablative plural ending. It can also be something called a dative plural we'll learn later, but essentially it doesn't matter which gender it is, it's going to be that same ending is. Now, note again that the o is the same ending as you got in masculine. Neuter and masculine have a lot of similarities because these words that you're learning so far are all called second declension words, second masculine or second neuter. So the second neuter words are very similar to the second masculine words. Really the big difference is in the nominative or in the vocative, which happens to be the same as the nominative usually. All right, moving on. Opido ablativus singularis est. Opido is ablative singular. Opidis est ablativus pluralis. Opidis is the ablative plural. Ablativus singularis o, pluralis is. In ex ab cum sine cum ablativo. So this is telling us these prepositions use the ablative. In means in, on, or at. Ex, which is sometimes spelled a with just a long e, and ab, which is also spelled a, just a long a. So those are alternate forms, kind of like a and an in English. So a with a long e, that's used before a consonant typically, and x, the ex, is used before a vowel. Likewise, a long a, is used before a consonant, and ab, ab, is used before a vowel. Okay, so going back again then to the meanings. In is in, on, or at. Ex is from or out of. Ab is from or away from. Cum means with. Sine means without. And then it says cum ablativo, with the ablative. All right, notice they're using the word cum there. In atrio, in the atrium. In cubiculis, in the bedrooms. Ex horto, out of or from the garden. Ex Italia, out of or from Italy. Ab Aemilia, away from or from Aemilia. Ab opido, away from or from the town. Cum servo, with the slave. Cum liberis, with the children. Sine pecunia, without money. Sine rosis, without roses. All right, in our last section for this chapter, imperativus et indicativus, imperative and indicative. Now we've seen these before in the singular, so this is just adding our plural forms. Dawa wuka serwe, call Dawa's slave. Servus dawa mukat, the slave calls Dawus. So serwe is the vocative singular. Woka is the imperative singular, which we've talked about before. Now they give us a plural version. Juliam wokate puri. Puri Juliam wokant. So wokate is the plural imperative or plural command. Call Julia boys. All right? And then puri Juliam wokant. Wokant is the plural indicative, so the plural statement verb. The boys call Julia. So if you just want to say what someone's doing, you use the forms that end in the T or the NT, which are called indicative forms, statement verbs. They're used for normal statements and for normal questions. And then you want to use the imperativus or imperative if you're going to give a command. Voca est imperativus singularis, vocat indicativus singularis, vide Capitulum Quintum. So voca is the imperative singular command. Vocat is the indicative singular, the normal statement or question verb. Vocate imperativus pluralis est. Vocate is the imperative plural command. Vocant indicativus pluralis. Vocant is the indicative plural, which in other words is a normal statement or question verb in the plural. Imperativus singularis, and then they have just the dash, which means nothing. You don't add anything to it. Pluralis te. You add the te onto that stem. So woka would be a singular, wokate would be a plural, or audi singular, audite plural. Indicativus singularis t, in other words a t, pluralis nt, in other words nt. Exempla, examples, a, ate, at, ant. So this is what we call a first conjugation verb, thus the one in front of the example. Saluta dominum serve, greet the master slave. Servus dominum salutat, the slave greets the master. Salutate dominum servi, greet the master's slaves. Servi dominum salutant, the slaves greet the master. All right, and then second conjugation examples. This is also called an E-type or a strong E-type verb, an thematic valid E. Ete, et, ent. Take puer, be quiet boy. Puer taket, the boy is quiet. Takete pueri, be quiet boys. Pueri takent, the boys are quiet. Now, third conjugation example. Ite, it, unt. Notice the vowel changes in these. Third conjugation is also called a consonant stem conjugation. Essentially, it didn't have a vowel of its own, so the vowel kind of changes to make it easier to say in different places. So in the singular imperative, it's the short E, pronounced but it's usually I, the short I, except for before the NT, where it becomes a short U. Discede serve, leave slave. Servus discede, the slave leaves. Discedete servi, leave slaves plural. Servi discedunt, the slaves leave. All right, and then finally fourth conjugation with a strong I, so the strong I thematic vowel conjugation. Ite, it, iunt. When ni, Julia, come Julia. Julia, when it, Julia comes. When ite, pueri, come boys. Pueri, veniunt, the boys come. All right, well, I hope that made sense. Hope you learned a few things. And take care until next time. Curate vos, valete omnes.